What's up, everybody? Chef Giuseppe here with Low Country Lunatics Podcast. Thank you for joining us. We have a really special episode today. I'm here with State Representative James Teeple, and he's going to talk about how he got into office, what his life has been like, some of the things he's passionate about, which I'm hoping that the audience can find some value in and learn about the man behind the office. You know, a lot of times we see these public figures and it's like they're not human, right? So why don't you tell us, take us back to the beginning, like what it was like. How did you get into this?
Yeah, so it really all started, politics wasn't even on my radar. And then 4 years ago this week, actually 4 years ago yesterday, my daughter started she started acting a little funny, acting like she had balance issues. And, my wife and I thought at first that it was an inner ear infection. And we own childcare centers, so we're used to, seeing kids that have that issue and the symptoms of that. So we took her first to a pediatrician, and the pediatrician said, her ears are fine, but we might need to go to the children's hospital. So the next day, we took her to the children's hospital here, and I had to take my son to school. My wife took my daughter to the hospital, and she calls me when I'm on the way to meet him and says that I need to hurry. So, I'm racing as fast as I can get there.
Your heart must have been pounding.
Oh, yeah. Because if your wife tells you to hurry when it's your kid, you start,
panicking.
Yeah, you start rushing. So I get there, and as soon as I walk in the room, they take my daughter out of the room. And they said they found a mass on her brain, and it was on her brainstem. And so they did some more scans, and then they came in the room, and we're in this room kind of like this with a couch and big screens. And they're showing us the scans, and they said that your daughter has DIPG brain tumor, which is a diffused intrinsic pons glioma, which is 100% fatal, by the way. Wow. And they gave her 12 to 18 months to live. And I remember asking them time and time again, are you sure that my daughter's going to die? And every time they would nod and say, yes, we're sure. And that's the consensus of their medical team. And the weight of that is just devastating. I mean, as a parent, you can imagine that's the worst news that you could ever hear. I mean, a few days before that, she was a normal little girl.
How old is she at this point?
She's 7. She was 3.5 at the time. And I remember asking the doctor what they would do if it was her daughter or their daughter. And they said they would take her home and make memories. And
that's going to be so hard to hear.
It felt like I weighed about 1,000 pounds. And I just wanted to just fall over and just let the floor absorb me. It was so unbelievably devastating. But, we're a big family of faith. We've always had that as a foundation of our marriage and our family. And the only thing that we could do then was pray. And we prayed. We prayed for about 3 days straight, nonstop, asked for prayers online. And at that time, I wasn't a big social media guy. So, but Facebook was really the only way that I could get that message out without having to repeat it. Cause I didn't have the strength to even talk really. But something kept nagging at me to call St. Jude. And so I did.
Something about them before?
Well, we'd all seen the commercials and when my dad was in the military, he was in the Navy, and we were stationed one time in Memphis. And so we had driven past there quite a bit. But that prayer gave me the strength to reach out and call them. And I started explaining, kind of what was happening. And St. Jude said, you know what, we'd like for you to come out to Memphis.
So that's big. If they invite you there, they know that, you can't just take a diagnosis at face value.
True.
You got to look into it.
Yeah. And you can only get to the main campus in Memphis if you qualify for a clinical trial, you live in that area, or you go through an affiliate clinic. But our closest affiliate clinic is Charlotte.
Wow.
So we don't have one here. And but they flew us out the next day.
Wow.
Based on that tumor type. Yeah.
That's what qualified you as the type?
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have like a multitude of clinical trials for DIPG. And we get out there, and I remember they flew us out that day or that next day. They met us at the airport. They're checking me in while I'm getting my bags, shuttle us right over to the hospital, and someone comes out to greet us and walks us to all our appointments. And we get to imaging, and I'll never forget this. Jacqueline Jerry is like the secretary at imaging. So that's who you go see when you go to check in. And when we checked in, she said, "Hey, I just want you to know God has it on my heart that he wants me to pray with you." And we've been back so many times, and I've never seen her do that before. But she came out and she prayed with us and said, "Breathe in, breathe out, and let God take it. God's telling me it's going to be okay." And we had that deer in the headlight look that everyone has when they first get there with their child. And they did new scans. They have scanners there. Their imaging is geared towards tumors. It's not, for trauma and all the other things. So it's very specialized equipment. And after the scan, we go to her clinic team, and we're sitting in there, and the head neurosurgeon for St. Jude walks in. His name's Dr. Klimo. And the second he walked in the room, and they hadn't looked at the scans yet, I could feel it get brighter, and I could feel this weight lifting off my shoulders, and it was warmer, and it was God's presence. Absolutely.
Let me ask you, did you feel the presence of God when you walked in, or was it only until you and Miss Jerry started talking?
Well, it was, I felt like God was with us. He most certainly gave me the strength, and without a foundation of faith, I would have been so devastated and felt that lonely feeling that a lot of folks describe that aren't believers. And I don't think I would have had the strength to call, but it gave me the strength to fight. And when they walked in and they're reviewing the scans and we're telling them the diagnosis and the story, he stops what he's doing. He looks at us and he goes, "Well, that's not what she has. She's been misdiagnosed. It's still a grade 4 tumor, but she has a 4% chance of survival because it's actually an ETMR." 4. That doesn't sound like a lot, but
when 0,
it's way better than 0, and it gives you hope. And they took the tumor out that was originally inoperable, they said. They did a full resection on the tumor the next day and did 30 rounds of radiation and 4 rounds of chemo. And I remember them telling us, they said, because they had found 2 additional tumors in her spine with that new imaging, because they only did the imaging of the brain originally. So they did brain and spine, found 2 more tumors. And they told us that the best hope is that there's no regrowth in the cavity and that the tumors in her spine stay the same size. And after the radiation, the tumors in her spine were gone.
Wow.
And so they did the 4 rounds of chemo just to get any floating cells or any of that sort of stuff. And she's this week now 4 years cancer free.
Wow.
Praise God. She's not just surviving, she's thriving.
It's amazing.
So we go back every 6 months for scans. It was every 3, but we go back now. And this all circles back to you were saying, how did I get in politics? Well, we'd just gotten home, and I was on the back patio with my daughter. And I just, I was looking at her, thinking about her journey, reflecting on everything. And I thought, I can't let this end with her. So I told her, your daddy's going to fight to bring St. Jude to South Carolina until the day I die or the day you cut the ribbon. So I started making phone calls.
Wow.
Started calling St. Jude. I called the local hospital here. And at first, nobody was interested. I couldn't get past the secretary, man.
Wow.
It was brutal.
What was the moment that you decided, okay, was it out on the porch?
No, that I was run? No. So I contacted my representative, whose seat I hold now, and I asked him if the Speaker of the House could write a letter of support for St. Jude to South Carolina. So he wrote that letter, and for the first time, I got past the secretary. Now, I still got told no.
Wow.
So I was told they weren't interested. They were focusing on growth at their main campus, which they are. They're building a lot of new buildings there and expanding. And I just couldn't take that as an answer. And I thought, well, if the speaker can write a letter and get me past them, what would happen if I was an elected official? So that's the light bulb moment where I'm going to run for office. And it just so happened the guy that I took his seat was running for Senate. So this seat was open. ran for that seat, knocked 6,000 doors. And Kinsey, who's like my de facto campaign manager, I even got her a little denim jacket that says Daddy's campaign manager.
That's awesome.
She would go knock doors with me. Now, she was only interested in houses that had pets, like dogs or whatever.
Yeah. How old is she at this time?
At that time, she was 6.
Wow.
Yeah. So we knocked 6,000 doors for 100 days straight, won the election. And the day after the election, I called St. Jude back and I got a meeting with the CEO.
Oh, man.
So
what a turn.
It was crazy. First week in office up in Columbia, I had the legislative liaison for MUSC in my office, telling them what I was trying to do.
Are they supportive?
They have been massively supportive.
Wow, man.
So he's like, well, I'll start working on it. So I had a couple meetings with MUSC, and then we had meetings together with the CEO of MUSC, CEO of St. Jude, and me, and a couple other folks. And finally, it got to the point where the CEO of St. Jude called me and said, hey, we need to talk. And I thought, oh, no.
Oh, boy.
He's like, I can't talk today. We'll talk tomorrow. And I didn't sleep that night thinking they were going to pull the plug on this. And I get on the phone with him and he says, look, we know you're busy. You're wearing the dad hat, the legislator hat, doing all these things. We'll take it from here and we'll get it across the finish line.
Wow.
And that was, oh my gosh.
How unexpected, right? Because you think the worst.
Yeah, I was thinking it's over. But, I've been told no 1,000 times in my life. So that it would have just been a redirect. But, I spoke, I'm in regular communication with MUSC and St. Jude, and they said that the entire process, it is a massive process when you have two large institutions trying to coordinate. Like there's a lot of hands in the pot, a lot of players.
Sure.
So they're all saying this is the fastest we've ever gone. We're expecting an announcement, in the next couple months. It fits well with MUSC because they have the medical infrastructure to handle that and do research. Because what this is going to do is not only provide a pathway for kids to go to Memphis. Because of that, you got to go through a affiliate clinic or clinical trial, but it'll allow families in the low country to stay together, not have to move. Because we lived in Memphis for 8 months while she was going through treatment.
Okay.
So, families will be able to stay together. They'll have pathway to Memphis, automatic second opinions, and then all of the research dollars. It'll be hundreds of millions of dollars that will come through for research. And then, kids that can't afford it, they don't get a bill. We had over $1 million in treatment and never got a bill from St. Jude. It is a wonderful organization.
Now, what is the hang up? Why do they require you to live in Memphis? Is it tax dollars or what is?
Well, you need to be there you want to be there with your kid. But the problem is, what about the families where, the father works? They run out of all their PTO time and FMLA. And, the flip side of that is you go there and it's, they pay for your housing there, all your food. There's all this support. So, and when your kid's fighting for their life, you want to be right there beside them.
Absolutely.
And, so all of this benefit in the research that'll come here, and they also do sickle cell anemia. They do other neurological disorders and cancers. So the impact that's going to have on our community is going to be massive. And I tell people a lot, we never know how many lives we'll save, but there will be a number. And it's the most precious lives we have with our children.
Right.
So, St. Jude's coming. Kinsey will cut that ribbon.
Now, will there be a campus here in South Carolina? Is that what's going to happen?
So with the affiliate clinics, what they do is they work within an existing hospital.
Okay.
So there's not a separate building. It would be within Sean Jenkins. Now, MUSC is building a brand new cancer center, and they may move it over there, but it will be part of St. Jude, and they'll follow the standard of care that St. Jude provides and follows. And it's just going to be so wonderful for our state and for our kids. And,
powerful collaboration. How do you handle the pressure of all that? Knowing that you're the one kind of orchestrating or get the ball rolling at least.
Yeah. So there's 8 affiliate clinics, right, that exist throughout the country now. And, this is the only one that was legislator led. They've all been hospital to hospital. And there was a lot of pressure because I care so deeply about my daughter's legacy. and helping others. And if it couldn't happen, that fear of failure would just be. It's why I ran for office. I didn't run for office for anything personal outside of bringing St. Jude here. Now there's other issues that I'm passionate about, but it's all about that. And if we can do that, then nothing else matters.
Right. You've done your job. If even one kid has that opportunity that your daughter had,
true,
it was all worth it.
All worth it, and no taxpayer dollars go to it.
Wow,
it's
that's incredible.
All funded through donations through St. Jude.
How could somebody donate if they wanted to?
Yeah, so you just go on the website of St. Jude. They they have tons of campaigns for fundraising. So like we go throughout the Southeast now and tell our story at St. Jude events. The last one we did was in Charlotte. We raised $1.5 million for St. Jude. We had a golf tournament. So it's the whole like spectrum though. Like we've done small events where we raised 10,000 all the way up to 1.5 million.
It all helps.
It all helps. Yeah. And just a ton in between. We donate half of my state house salary. I donate to St. Jude. The other half I donate to Camp Firefly for terminally ill kids and their families that Kirk Cameron puts on. And
there's a story there too now. Like you have this mentorship or discipleship program that you're doing. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So it's called Red Truck Men. And it started from that camp. So Kirk Cameron and his family put on this camp for terminally ill kids every year. He's done it since he was like 19. So he was getting all these Make-A-Wish kids that were wanting to meet him back when he was on Growing Pains. And so he started this camp and has funded it ever since. And we were selected to go. It was right after treatment. And you're hanging out with Kirk and his family for the whole week. And we had more fun at that than we did our Make-A-Wish trip to Disney. The kids, because you get to be a family. So that week, everything's kind of planned out. You just relax. It's in Georgia, south of Atlanta. Yeah, so it's at the Callaway Gardens in Georgia.
Okay.
And so you go there, you're with him and his family all week. And we were playing golf, and I was telling him, we were talking about our church. He's a very religious person. And I was telling him, like, I really want to have a fellowship group where it's a bunch of guys that I'd love to hang out with, like you. So I was like, how can I hang out with guys like Joe? Anyway, he's like, well, you got to meet this guy out of Charlotte. He's got a men's fellowship group he just started. And it's about iron sharpening iron, doing stuff outdoors. All the monthly breakfasts are outdoors. So I called him and I said, hey, I'd like to go to one of your groups. He's like, you're not going, you're starting one. And I'm like, oh gosh. I don't even know, like, how do I do that? And he goes, don't worry about it. So he's like, just have some of your friends come. So we had 20 something guys on my back patio the first month. This has been over 3 years now, coming on 4.
So this is before.
No, I'm sorry. 3 years. Yeah. After that, it's just grown. We've got 130 or 150 guys now.
Wow.
And we do a breakfast once a month. Any guy can come. We do it outside under the live oaks. We have a made from scratch breakfast. And then we just dive into the word. And, we've got guys that it has helped so much. We've had a baptism last year, and we're not affiliated with a church. We're just a bunch of guys getting together, and we do fun things like a skeet shoot and a fishing tournament. Kirk Cameron usually comes out to one of those a year and gives a great talk. And we're going to have another baptism later this year. But to be not affiliated with a church, and we've already saved 14 men, and that also goes back to my daughter's testimony and all the positive that's come from her cancer journey.
Is that how you're attracting these people that are coming and want to be part of this? From that story?
No, at first, probably.
Yeah.
And, it was all guys that I knew. And it's grown so much now. Like I told that story again recently, and there were a lot of guys that hadn't heard it yet. But it's just guys talking to other guys, like some of our guys, I coach Little League with them. I'm just like, hey, man, if you like breakfast, we all love bacon, right? Come to this event, and we'll have breakfast, and we'll talk about how the Bible impacts each of our lives to become better fathers, better Christians.
So it's not just business related; it's family oriented. It's about growing a community. Yeah. Essentially, what other types of activities are you doing out there? Like, is it the same every month, or like, what is the agenda?
Yeah, so it's really now if we need to give a Bible verse or chapter that we're going to talk about as kind of a theme, but it's really open to what guys feel like is on their heart to talk about. And sometimes, it's guys that are struggling with alcohol, or, we've got a guy that after coming to Red Truck, he started going to AA, and I think he just it was his 2 year or 3 years sober now.
Praise God.
And, there's a lot of guys where I've had their wives message and say, whatever you guys are doing, keep it up. Cause it's just made our entire marriage so much better. And, so a massive positive impact, and
so encouraging, man.
I love it.
It's so encouraging. Now, where did all this determination and ambition come from? Like, you must have been born with it.
I don't know. Maybe the military. I was in the Navy, third generation Navy. My grandfather was a senior chief. My dad, a warrant officer in the Navy. So I went in the Navy. My brother went in the Air Force. He retired as a lieutenant colonel, C-17 pilot. So we've got a lot of military background. My stepmom was Navy. So yeah, a whole bunch of us. I don't know, just always been that way. If I'm going to go, I just
and it sounds like you've been consistent too. This is going on for a while now.
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of how we, I talked about our daycares a few minutes ago. I was a general manager for Lowe's. I was running one of the highest grossing Lowe's stores in the company. And we couldn't find childcare that we would want to put our kids in, right? I would go and tour. Some of them I'd just turn around and walk out. And there was nowhere that was teaching like biblical values, that didn't have a 3-year wait list. So I called my wife and I said, guess what? We're going to start a daycare. And she's like, you're crazy. We are not starting a daycare.
She wanted to kill you.
6 months later, we were open. And, we have a second one now. So we take care of 320 kids in the Low Country. And, we've been able to create 100 full-time jobs for people. We pay in the top 10% in the state, and we have all kinds of benefits. And so it's, that if there's a need, you got to fill it. And, it's up to us as providers. If we're going through something, someone else is probably going through it too.
Right.
So, that's just kind of been the way I've always operated.
Your journey as a public official is very relatable, which is kind of surprising, because I feel like there's people just can't put themselves in the shoes of a public official. But when you talk about these real issues that you're having outside of office, it's like, your family has been impacted by all this.
True.
And can you explain, like, how has that been transitioning from, working at Lowe's to opening all these daycares and then taking office?
Yeah. So it's a lot. It really is. But the good thing is my family's very supportive. And I sat the kids down with my wife and I said, look, it may be me running for office, but it's really all of us. Because, there's from January to, the end of May, I'm in Columbia 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And, that takes me away from them. And we've really become family focused, especially after that journey we went through, where I'm very selfish with my time when it comes to my family. And the hardest thing about being in office is I don't get to put my kids to bed every night. I'm actually getting a pilot's license right now. I have my license here in a couple of weeks, just so I can come back to put them in bed at night. And it's hard being up there to do that. But, it's back to service, just like you do in the military. You don't join the military to get rich or, have more time on your hands to spend with people you love. But with this, I can also impact them while I'm up there and make their lives better. I sit on the Education and Public Works Committee. I'm also on the AI and Cybersecurity Committee with regulations too. I'm the chair of a subcommittee there, and we can make a real difference for, like me, my big focus is other small business owners. So, we're going industry by industry and looking at regulations, making sure they're tied to statute. If they're not, and they're just burdensome, they need to go.
Right.
We have 80,000 regulations in our state. So, really focused on easing that burden, because the government has never helped small businesses create a job. They've never helped small businesses be successful. They are just in the way of success. And jobs are created and businesses are successful in spite of the government, not because of it. So, small government is huge for me. Now, there are regulations that need to be there, right, to protect folks and in the environment. We can't have people dumping in our waterways.
Right.
But there's a lot that need to go, or at least have a clause where they sunset, where they come up for automatic review every 5 to 10 years. We also have a policy on that committee where any organization or agency that brings a regulation, they have to cut 2.
Wow.
We want it to be 10.
Of course.
Because we've got to get back to where the government stays out of our lives as much as possible.
Right. And the underlying theme, from what I'm hearing, is compassion and concern for people in general. And faith has to be a big part of that.
Faith is huge. It's probably the biggest, well, most certainly the biggest impact on my life. I was 41 years old when I witnessed my first miracle. And that lives with me from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. I think about it every single day. And there's not been a day gone by in these 4 years where I haven't thought about the grace and mercy of Jesus Christ and the impact that he's had on giving my daughter back. And because we were this close to not having her. And I think about, even if we bring a St. Jude here, it's not, doesn't mean it's going to turn out for every child the way it turned out for us. Sure. And you get plugged into that community, and I've seen so many kids not make it. But we got to give them a chance. And we've got to put them in the best position we can so that God and the doctors at St. Jude can do their work. And that's key. And I'll never forget it. I'll never be able to repay an ounce of what God has done for me and my family.
This has been such an incredible interview and experience for me, and I'm sure from our listeners. So I just want to thank you for your time spending with me today, because I know it's taken you away from your family. So, you are a true testament of what God can do, and keep pushing on, fight the good fight for the betterment of everyone. This is so unselfish of you to do what you're doing. I just want to commend you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, James. Appreciate it.